Good morning. I hope you all are fine and you all are doing well at your homes. See, today I'm going to deal with the last critic in new criticism. I mean, the last critic from my side, not in new criticism. And I'm going to talk about William Empson and his seminal work that is Seven Types of Ambiguity. Fine. You know that this is a critical work by William Empson, and it was published in 1930, and then it was revised in 1947 and in 1953. So twice it was revised in 1947 and in 1953. I hope you know that William Empson is again a major figure in new criticism. And he is called a critic of genius by Frank Kermode. Frank Kermode. Fine. Now, if you try to have a look at this book that is Seven Types of Ambiguity, you can see it as an offshoot of practical criticism written by I. A. Richards. And you know that Empson was a disciple of I. A. Richards and he was very much impacted by I. A. Richards. So this book can be seen as an offshoot of Richards' practical criticism. Fine. Now this work that is Seven Types of Ambiguity, it is a landmark in the history of literary criticism. And it is one of the most widely read and quoted works in literary criticism. Fine. So before talking about seven types of ambiguity, let me clarify the meaning of this word that is ambiguity. Fine. See, in simple usage, it refers to a fault in style, and that is the use of a vague and unclear expression. Fine. Then you will find that multiple meaning or plurisignation, they are the alternative terms for this use of language. Fine. Now we see that it is the use of a single word or expression to signify two or more different references or to express two or more distinct feelings or attitudes. I'm talking about the word ambiguity. Fine. So it is the use of a single word or expression to signify two or more different references or to express two or more distinct feelings or attitudes. Fine. Say for example, let us try to understand it with the help of one example. Fine. I hope you all might have gone through Antony and Cleopatra by William Shakespeare. And I feel and I'm sure that you remember the suicide scene of Cleopatra in the play. Fine. And there you know that Cleopatra, she applies the asp on her bosom. Why? In order to be bitten by it. So when she applies the asp on her bosom, she says, I'm just quoting one line from the text, I mean from the play Antony and Cleopatra. The line is, I mean she is addressing the asp. So she says, "Come, thou mortal wretch." Now focus on the two words mortal and wretch. So here mortal, it means fatal, and at the same time, it may also signify that the asp itself is mortal, means the asp itself is subject to death. Now we see that this word mortal, it is conveying two meanings. So the first meaning of mortal is fatal. And the second meaning of the word mortal is that, the asp itself is subject to death. It also has to die. So two meanings are conveyed through this one word, and that is mortal. Then again focus on the word wretch, and it is taking place in the same sentence. I repeat the sentence again. Come, thou mortal wretch. Fine. So this wretch, it also carries two meanings: contempt and pity. Fine. So what do we see here? We see that two meanings or two feelings are conveyed by mortal and wretch. So the two words mortal and wretch, they are conveying two meanings or two feelings. So this is an example of ambiguity. I hope it is clear to you people. Fine. Then Empson feels that verse or references in a poem, they are often ambiguous. Fine. And they carry multiple meanings that can enhance or that can increase the reader's appreciation of the work. So this ambiguity is very beneficial for the readers. I mean, it gives a reader or readers, a kind of liberty to have multiple meanings in a text. Is that clear? That's why Empson says that words or references in a poem, they are often, ambiguous. And, they carry multiple meanings, and these meanings can enhance their power of appreciation of the work. Is that clear? Actually, in this work, Empson basically tries to enhance the reader's understanding of a poem. How? By isolating the linguistic properties of the text. So this ambiguity, this is a kind of linguistic property. Fine. And with the help of it, he is trying to enhance the reader's understanding of a poem. Is that clear? Now he uses the term ambiguity in an extended sense. How? Basically, he uses it he uses it to refer to any verbal nuance which gives way to alternative reactions to the same piece of language. Fine. So I repeat again, he basically uses the term ambiguity in an extended sense just to refer to any verbal nuance which gives way to alternative reactions to the same piece of language in any literary work. Fine. Now, in brief, we can say that Empson's theory, you know, it was that things are often not what they seem. I hope you are getting my point. So his theory is that, he feels that things are often not what they seem. Means words in a work, they connote as much as they denote. So they play both the roles. The words connote and at the same time they denote. So it is a puzzle basically. Means the author says something and the readers can find an alternative meaning. The author says something and we people, the readers, we can find a different meaning, and that meaning may not match the very meaning or the meanings of the reader's intention. Fine. So in a simple way, it is something witty and deceitful. It is something witty and deceitful. Fine. Say for example, I'm giving you one more example. You know, if you find a sentence which states that the body depends on the liver. The body depends on the liver. Fine. So here this word liver. again it is giving multiple meanings or at least two meanings. Fine. So one liver is the liver. Liver. I mean that is an organ in our body, and if this organ fails, our body may be in danger. Right? So the fact is that our body or the functioning of the body, it depends on the liver. That is an organ. And the other meaning is that the body depends on the liver. Liver means one who lives the life. So one is liver, that is an organ, and the other is liver, one who lives the life. Is that clear? So here the word liver, it is conveying two meanings. The first one is an organ, and the other one is, the subject who lives the life. Fine. So we can say that it refers to indeterminate meanings. It refers to indeterminate meanings. What do you mean by indeterminate? Means something not exactly known. Something, about which we are not absolutely confirmed. Is that clear? Let us talk about 7 types of ambiguity now. See, in the book, 7 types of ambiguity, William Empson talks about 7 types of ambiguity. So I'm trying to simplify, these ambiguities here. Try to understand. See, the first ambiguity is metaphor. And I hope that you all are familiar with metaphor. This is one of the figures of speech. And you might have read about it so many times. Fine. See, a metaphor is, when two things are said to be alike, which have different properties. Say, for example, if I say, she is a fox. Fine. Now we have two different objects. She, a human being, and a fox, an animal. So these two different objects, they are said to be alike. Now what is the perception of the sentence? The perception of the sentence is that she is clever like a fox. She is clever like a fox. But if I use the word of comparison like, so like is the word of comparison, then it will be an example of simile. But in metaphor, we do not use the words of comparison. So here I am not using the words of comparison, and that's why it is a metaphor. So she is a fox. Two different objects. She and fox. They are different, but this she is compared to a fox. And the meaning that is given in the sentence is that she is clever like a fox. I hope it is clear to you. Then the second type of ambiguity is that when two or more meanings are resolved into one. So Empson calls it using two different metaphors at once. Using two different metaphors at once. Now let us try to understand it with another example. See, if the statement or if the sentence is, travel is no more than a witch's cauldron full of emeralds. A witch is a sorcerer. I mean, who knows magic? You might have seen 3 witches in Macbeth. And emeralds are basically, powerful green stones. Fine. So again, try to have a look at the sentence, and this is travel is no more than a witch's cauldron full of emeralds. Fine. Now you will find that a witch's cauldron is full of magic because a witch is known for magic. Fine. and emeralds. Emeralds are powerful stones, green stones. So what is happening here? Here two meanings. Which are the two meanings? Magic and emeralds. They are resolved into one, and that is a witch's cauldron. A witch's cauldron. So the fact is that two or more, and here two meanings are resolved into one. So magic and emeralds, they are resolved into one, and that is a witch's cauldron. So I hope this is also clear to you people. Then the third ambiguity is when two unconnected meanings are, given simultaneously in a text. And to simplify it, you can call it a pun. Pun. You might have seen in Hamlet, and you might have seen it in so many texts. Right. So when two unconnected meanings are given, simultaneously in a text. Say for example, if you go to Romeo and Juliet, and okay, leave this text. I'm just giving you the same example from the day-to-day life. See, if I ask you people, come here tomorrow and you will find me a grave man, grave, grave man. Fine. So here the word grave, it is conveying two meanings. Number one, it may be serious. So you come here tomorrow and you'll find me a serious man. And the other grave may signify death. Grave is a place, where or inside which a dead body is buried. So the other perception may be, you come here tomorrow and you'll find me a dead man. Fine. So two simultaneous meanings are conveyed by this one word, that is grave. So this is an example of pun, and this is the third type of ambiguity where two unconnected meanings are given simultaneously in this sentence. Right? Then the fourth ambiguity is when two or more meanings that do not agree but combine to make clear a complicated state of mind. Fine. Now, say for example, let us try to understand it with the help of one more sentence. Uh, you know, your friend is lying on the ground, and you go to your friend and you ask, "What are you doing?" So the friend will answer saying, uh, "I'm lying for the time being." I mean, he may answer in that way. What way? By stating, "I'm lying for the time being." So here the word lying, it has two different meanings. So I am lying for the time being. So the first lying is, lying on the ground. Lying on the ground. That is a situation basically. Fine. And the other lying is that, this friend is telling a lie. So the first lying is different, that is lying on the ground, and the other lying is, telling a lie. So, they both are different. I hope it is clear to you. So when two or more meanings that do not agree. So here these two meanings, lying and lying, they do not agree. Lying and telling a lie, they do not agree. Fine. But they combine to make clear a complicated state of mind. I hope it is clear to you. So your friend is lying on the ground. So one lying is lying on the ground and the other lying is, telling a lie, and both are different. Fine. Then the fifth type of ambiguity is, when a writer discovers his idea in the act of writing. Means, the author does not preconceive the idea, but, comes upon it during his creation or during, writing his or her, work. Fine. The example that I quoted in the previous, type of ambiguity, and that I'm lying for the time being. Suppose, the same statement is taking place in a text. Fine. Say, for example, there is a conversation in a text. One friend is lying on the ground, and suddenly the other friend comes over there and again asks, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then the answer may be, "I'm lying for the time being. I'm lying for the time being." Fine. Now, there may be a different perception also in the mind of the first person. And what may be that this friend is lying on the ground like an animal. And this animal may be dog. This animal may be a serpent. Getting my point? So, the writer may discover this idea in the act of writing. Fine. And, it is possible that he does not preconceive this idea. I mean, he has no prior intention of talking about a dog lying on the ground. But at the time of writing this work, he discovers that, this lying person may be some dog, this lying person may be some serpent, or this lying person may be some other animal. Is that clear? So that the author, he does not have any preconception of this idea, but at the time of writing his or her work, the author discovers, this particular fact. I hope it is clear to you. Fine. Then the sixth type of ambiguity is when something when something you know when something appears to have contradiction and the reader is forced to invent interpretation. I mean, the author gives some confusion, and the reader is not able to find a clear-cut meaning. Then the reader is forced to invent his own interpretation according to his choice or interests. Fine. Now, say for example, again, let us try to understand it with the help of one or two more sentences. If the sentence is, "She was strictly beautiful," she was strictly beautiful. Now, what do you mean by strictly beautiful? I mean, the sentence has been, think for a minute that the sentence has been used by an author in any text, and he's talking about some girl, and he's saying that this girl is strictly beautiful. So, what the author is trying to say through these two words, strictly beautiful, I mean, what kind of beauty she is. So you can't easily imagine what what this girl was like, what kind of beautiful girl she was. It means you are free to create your own meaning out of this strict type of beauty. So strict beauty, does it carry any definite meaning? And what may be the meaning from the side of the author? Can it be clear to you people? No, this is only in the mind of the author, and we can never come to know about this fixed meaning, that lies in the mind of the author. So he has not said simply that she is beautiful, he has said that she is strictly beautiful. Now guess what do we mean by strictly beautiful? Fine. So it means we can't easily imagine, what kind of beauty this girl is or this girl was. So it means we are free to create our own meaning out of this strict type of beauty. Fine. And interestingly, a meaning cannot match the author's meaning. The meaning of the author in his mind, it may be different, and the meaning that we create, it may be different. Right? Then we can add one more line to this line, and that is, her eyes were a trifle large. Trifle large. In the first sentence we had strictly beautiful, and now we have trifle large. So it was impossible for us to analyze the real meaning of the two words strictly beautiful. And again the same problem has been created by the author. Now he calls her eyes a trifle large. Now, how large the trifle may be? So again, the reader is uncertain whether he will be charmed by her trifle eyes or not. So what happens here? Once again, we people, I mean the readers, once again we have to create our own meaning. Fine. So this is the sixth type of ambiguity. Now the last one is, the last type or the seventh type of ambiguity is when, you know, it is a complete contradiction marking a division in the author's mind. A complete contradiction marking a division in the author's mind. Now, to simplify, you can call it binary opposition. Binary opposition. Say, for example, if as an author, if I say male, so the idea of female would enter my mind automatically. So it will be implied, right? Light, darkness, civilized, savage, day, night, good, evil, right? So it is a kind of complete contradiction marking a division in the author's mind. So when we say male, automatically the very idea of female enters our mind. And when we say civilized, or when we think about the word civilized, the very idea of savage would enter our minds automatically. So this is the last type of ambiguity. I hope these are clear to you. So finally, you just can say that an ambiguity is the matter of giving multiple meaning. Fine. And for your information, let me tell you that somehow the same thing is done by portmanteau. Portmanteau. Now, what is portmanteau? Portmanteau. So, let me tell you something about the origin of this word. In literary criticism, it was introduced by Humpty Dumpty in Lewis Carroll's, Through the Looking Glass. So, Through the Looking Glass is a work by Lewis Carroll, and there we find, Humpty Dumpty. So, this portmanteau, it has been introduced into literary criticism by Humpty Dumpty in Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass. Now, what is it? It is basically blending the sounds and combining the meaning of two others. Blending the sounds and combining the meaning or meanings of two others. Say, for example, brunch. Brunch. So it is coming out of the combination of, two sounds. Breakfast and lunch. Fine. Then smoke. So it is coming out of smoke and fog. Mockumentary. Mockumentary. So that is from mock and documentary. Fine. So this was for your information, and I hope it is clear to you. So new critics are clear from my side, and I feel that I'll be giving just one more clip to you on new criticism. I mean somehow their limitations or their criticism. Fine. And then I'll be moving towards the next theory. So thank you and have a good day.